Hey, it's Jack Sperry, NFL draft analyst from Chat Sports here, and today I'm going to be revealing my first mock draft for the 2024 NFL draft season. Personally, guys, I'm somebody that likes to wait a little bit, wait until the end of the first wave of free agency before I put out my first official mock draft. I know you guys have been seeing a lot of Tom Downey's mocks as he doesn't have that reservation, but I do. So I'm finally ready here after the Vikings and Texans make this trade this morning here, sending an additional first-round pick to the Minnesota Vikings, number 23 overall, and an additional seventh-round pick this year, 232 overall, to Minnesota. And now the Texans will get a second-rounder this year, a second-rounder next year, and an additional sixth-round pick as well. I feel ready to unveil my first mock draft of the 2024 draft season. I can't wait to share with you guys, so make sure you guys help me out here because Tom's last mock got 20 new subs on the video. All right, my bosses says that cannot be that cannot be done. All right, once again. So I want to get to 40 today. So if we could do that, I'd really appreciate it. We're going to be putting up a bunch of mock drafts pretty much every single week here on the channel. Me and Tom and potentially some other people here from Chat Sports as well. So make sure you guys click that subscribe button for in-depth, extensive NFL draft content all throughout the 2024 season. So let's start off here with my number one pick, and this is pretty much as set in stone as it can get, barring something unforeseen like Caleb Williams, like tears his ACL skateboarding down Los Angeles Boulevard or something like that. He's going to be the starting quarterback of the Chicago Bears next year. Justin Fields, I believe, will be traded. And listen, man, Caleb Williams is, in my time doing this, all right? So I've been grading quarterbacks for the NFL draft since 2018. Caleb Williams has the highest grade of anybody I have ever given, higher than Joe Burrow, higher than Trevor Lawrence, higher than anyone. Now, I can't speak to guys like Andrew Luck and John Elway and all these different guys, Peyton Manning in the past, but I know Caleb Williams is the most special and most complete quarterback prospect I have evaluated in my time doing this, okay? So he is special as in terms of arm talent. He's really good in the pocket as well. Playmaking is off the charts. His rushing ability is good. Chicago should be a playoff contender with Caleb Williams as their quarterback next year. Easy favorite for Offensive Rookie of the Year in my book. And then when it comes to the number two quarterback, I still have Drake Maye. Now, you could listen to Chris Sims or guys like Kurt Benkert, two guys that I have some level of respect for in terms of their quarterback analysis, but there's other guys that I respect more. Guys like, if you guys know that franchise guy, if you know QB School, JT O'Sullivan, if you know Brett Coleman, all these guys like Drake Maye more than Jaden Daniels, and I think that he is the better fit for what Washington wants to do. He's younger than Jaden Daniels, and I think he fits the offense better. Really high floor, in my opinion, as well, which means that Jaden Daniels ends up going to the New England Patriots at number 3. Super athletic quarterback. He's going to be learning behind Jacoby Brissett. Really good situation for Daniels to land there. I don't think any of these teams are looking to necessarily trade down, even though I think there's going to be a lot of teams trying to get into the top 3. Then at number 4, pretty obviously here, I think that Marvin Harrison Jr. is the perfect fit for Kyler Murray and what he likes to do. He likes to throw outside the numbers, 50-50 balls, and he likes to get it to that outside receiver. That's why he and DeAndre Hopkins were such a good matchup and duo over these last several years. Marvin Harrison Jr. is even more explosive than DeAndre Hopkins, in my opinion. He checks every single box, and he is a perfect fit to match up with Kyler Murray here in the Jonathan Gannon era. Now we have a trade alert here. My only trade of this entire mock draft here. So I do have the Minnesota Vikings taking their 2 draft picks in the first round here and doing what many people are expecting here, and that's to trade up for a quarterback at some point in the top 10 here. I think that the Chargers want to move down because they are doing a rebuild of sorts there with Jim Harbaugh, trying to build this in his image. And I think 2 first-round picks here, number 11 and number 23, is something that they would definitely take as opposed to just taking a player at number 5. So I think both parties here get what they want. And with the number 5 pick, I'm going to take J.J. McCarthy here for the Minnesota Vikings. Now, personally, guys, I'm lower on J.J. McCarthy. In my opinion, this is a massive, massive, massive reach, especially because you're giving up 2 first-rounders to get him. I think that he still needs a year of development before you even really think about him being a starter that can win in this league, in my opinion. Lots of one-read quarterbacking at Michigan. Obviously, had the best possible situation there in Michigan, so I'm not sure if he can handle the adversity that comes with being an NFL quarterback and all this pressure that's going to be coming his way. I'm not sure if he can handle that, but he's got good size, he's got a good arm, he's got great intangibles, and I do think he's a good fit for the offense here in Minnesota. So out of the available options, I do think J.J. McCarthy would be the pick. So let me know down there in the comments section. 4 quarterbacks in the top 5 in my first mock here. Which one's going to have the best career? I obviously think Caleb Williams is going to have the best, but let me know what you guys think. Type CW for Caleb, DM for Drake, JD for Jaden, or JM for J.J. McCarthy for today's pinned comment. YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. When that happens, take advantage of that time by answering today's pinned question. Now, the debate here with New York is I don't think that they're going to go quarterback because I don't see Bo Nix or Michael Penix Jr. being a value for them here at number 6 overall. So it's going to be between the it's going to be between the wide receivers, between Malik Nabers and Rome Odunze. I think that they want to get Odunze because his contested catch percentage in college is absolutely unreal. It's like above 60%, which is like 10 points above an elite number. Okay, so he is absolutely unbelievable. Of course, Daniel Jones needs one of these guys, in my opinion, if he's going to be coming back. Same thing with Drew Lock, who's had some accuracy issues in the past. So getting a guy like Rome Odunze that can make those what the hell catches is what I like to call them on film. He has 2 or 3 of them a game. Really like the skill set that he brings, and I like the size as well, so I'll send him to New York. Then we got Joe Alt here at number 7 here. Of course, you get Calvin Ridley in free agency, so they can go tackle here. Joe Alt's the best in the class, in my opinion. Easy number 7 pick for me. Then this one might come as a little bit of a surprise. Dallas Turner is usually the guy that most people have as their number 1 edge rusher off the board, specifically here to Atlanta. But I like Laiatu Latu here because he's got excellent refinement. He's easily the most refined pass rusher in this year's draft. He's got an incredible cross-chop move that maybe only 10 people on the planet really have. People like to knock his athleticism, but he was a 91st percentile in relative athletic score this year. He was 93rd percentile in the 40-yard dash. So he's got plenty of athleticism, and he's got all the refinement that you look for. Also one of the most intelligent edge rushers I've ever evaluated on film. He's my easy number 1 edge in this class. Then we get to Malik Nabers at number 9. And, I think Bears fans would like to get Rome Odunze. Of course, they just added Keenan Allen. But if you add Malik Nabers to Keenan Allen and DJ Moore, and you have Caleb Williams as your quarterback, I mean, that could be one of the most explosive offenses in the National Football League in year 1, all right? And you got DeAndre Swift as a running back. So they could go other things here, but I do think that Malik Nabers is somebody that if he's there for Chicago, you got to take him. He's my number 2 guy on my big board. I do have him over Odunze, but I took Odunze to New York because I like the fit better there. But Malik Nabers, perfect fit now here in Chicago, and I think they win the NFL draft with Caleb Williams and Nabers. Number 10, the Jets need to protect Aaron Rodgers. We all know that. Alou Fashanu is here at number 10. That one's an easy one for me. And then with the pick to trade down here, I'm going to have the Chargers take Brock Bowers, all right? Because Jim Harbaugh likes to have a lot of tight ends on the field, likes to have big bodies on the field. We know that from his time in Michigan. We know that in his time back with the San Francisco 49ers. And Brock Bowers is the best tight end in this draft class. It's not close, in my opinion. Jatavian Sanders is actually pretty good as well. But Brock Bowers, I think, is going to be the pick here after a trade down from Jim Harbaugh in L.A. And then I think a perfect fit for Sean Payton is Bo Nix. Now, you can book it right now. They're going to play the Steelers week 1 against Russell Wilson at Mile High, and I don't think that's going to go well for Bo Nix going up against that Steelers defense in week 1. But over the long term here, he fits exactly what Sean Payton likes in his quarterback. Really good in the pre-snap processing, accurate, good arm as well. I think this is a good move for Sean Payton and the Broncos. Now, can he compete with Patrick Mahomes? That's another question, but I do think he's a good fit. Then at number 13, I feel pretty good that Michael Penix Jr. Is a good fit with the Las Vegas Raiders. Luke Getsy likes to do a lot of drop-back passing, lots of down-the-field passing, and that is Michael Penix Jr.'s game. He apparently interviewed extremely well at the Combine, so I think he's kind of higher on people's boards in the NFL than maybe some people in the media have him right now. Don't see him falling to the second round or anything like that. He's kind of like the final, premier guy on the list here. 6th quarterback taken. The Raiders got to take him now, so I have him taking him at 13. Then at number 14, I like the fit between Troy Fautanu, Washington offensive lineman, with the New Orleans Saints, who need to replace Andres Pete at left tackle. Fautanu can play guard, but I also think that he's going to be a really good left tackle in the league as well. Long arms, really smooth mover, and that's going to be something that Clint Kubiak, their new offensive coordinator, really, really cherishes, and I think that he is going to be a really good player in this league. This is a nice value here at number 14. Then at number 15, my number one corner in this year's class goes off the board to the Indianapolis Colts, who took Julius Brents last year, but they need a true number one alpha type in that room. And honestly, I think Quinion Mitchell is worth potentially even a top 5 pick in most draft classes. I think he's that good. He's one of the most complete cornerback prospects I've ever evaluated. And I actually thought about Atlanta taking him here at 8. But I decided to go with Latu because of the value of an edge rusher. But here in the Colts, it's a good fit. And I think that they're getting a steal here with the number one corner in the class. Number 16, we got Dallas Turner to the Seahawks. Really athletic, but still needs to work on his refinement a bit. But also as an outside linebacker, really good in coverage as well for an edge rusher. So he provides that versatility that gives him a little bit of extra value. So we're halfway through my mock draft here. We're going to get to the rest of it here in just a second. But first, let's have a word from our sponsor here at Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS or download the Prize Picks app today for a first deposit match up to $100 today. Football season is over, but the action on the floor when it comes to basketball, both college and professional, is just heating up. Whether it's tournament season for March Madness or the fight for the NBA playoff home court, there's no shortage of high-stakes basketball moments this time of the year. Get in on the excitement with Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app, where you can turn your hoops knowledge into serious cash. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types are what makes Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app in the United States of America. Download the app today and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100 with Prize Picks. Takes less than 60 seconds to make your picks. So get started right now. Again, download the Prize Picks app today or go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100 today. They got college basketball, NHL, NBA, MLB, even NASCAR on there, guys. So whatever you like, they've got it on there. Pick more or pick less. It's that easy with our friends at Prize Picks. Then we get to the Jaguars here, and they just lost Calvin Ridley, so they're in need of a future #1 wide receiver to pair with Trevor Lawrence. And I love the fit between Adonai Mitchell from Texas here, Coops guy, producer Coops guy here, from the Longhorns to Jacksonville. He's a great deep threat. He's a very intelligent route runner. He ran a 4.35 at 6'4". I mean, this guy has it all, in my opinion. He reminds me a lot of CeeDee Lamb. Now, I do think CeeDee Lamb might be a little bit faster in game on the field, but Adonai Mitchell could certainly become that fast at that 4.35 straight line speed. Super excited to see what he's going to look like in the league, and I think he's a great fit with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Then, speaking of great fits here, Amarius Mims at right tackle to protect Joe Burrow. That's exactly what Cincinnati is in need of right now. And if he's there at number 18, I think Amarius Mims is probably going to be a Bengal. Then at number 19, my number 2 corner in this year's class, Nate Wiggins, goes to the Los Angeles Rams. Now, this could be a defensive lineman after the Aaron Donald retirement news today, but you look at this situation, they do need another corner. Kobe Durant on the outside, I just don't really trust as much as a Nate Wiggins. I think he's a good fit for this kind of off-coverage type of defense that they like to run in LA, so I like the fit between Wiggins and the Rams. Then at number 20, Talise Fuaga, offensive tackle from Oregon State, I think is a perfect fit for what Arthur Smith and the Steelers are trying to establish. They're trying to be a mauling run game this year with Najee Harris and Jalen Warren going into 2024 with Russell Wilson under center. And I think Fuaga is definitely the best run-blocking tackle in the draft this year, period. And I think that's going to be very, very appealing to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And if he's here at 20, I think he goes to the Steel City. Now, shout out your guy down there in the comments section. Name an underrated prospect in the 2024 NFL Draft. Who is the sleeper that you have your eye on that you're sure is going to really make some team happy here in the middle rounds or even the late rounds of the 2024 NFL Draft? Then we get to the Miami Dolphins at 21, and with them losing Christian Wilkins, why not bring in Byron Murphy, my number 1 defensive tackle in this class out of Texas. Super explosive, great pass pass rusher, I should say, from the interior. He's definitely the best in this class. Love the fit with Christian Wilkins out of the building. And then this just seems like a Philadelphia Eagle move, man, doesn't it? Kiper Jr, after a major injury in his last season in college, falls to number 22, and the Philadelphia Eagles get him because, of course, Howie Roseman gets Kiper Jr in the first round. I think without the injury, he's right up there with Quinion Mitchell as the best corner in this class, but I think because of the injury stuff, Nate Wiggins and Quinion will probably go before Kiper in this year's draft class, but man, Kiper is super versatile, can play safety, can play in the nickel, can play outside, and man, I love his skill set. I think he's going to be a pretty damn good pro, man, if he can stay healthy. Then we get back to the Chargers here with their second pick from their trade down with Minnesota. I'm going to have them taking their future right tackle, J.C. Latham. Still needs some refinement, particularly as a pass protector, but he is huge. He is a mauling run blocker, and that's what Jim Harbaugh is going to try to do, man. He likes these bigger run-blocking offensive linemen that can maul people and pancake people in the run game and then really try to establish the run with lots of tight ends on the field as well. I think that's a really good fit. Then, wow, the Dallas Cowboys get Jackson Powers Johnson, one of my highest-graded centers ever in this process that I've ever done for the NFL draft. I mean, I love Jackson Powers Johnson, man. He's got everything. He's got good size, really good athleticism, great technique both as a run blocker and as a pass protector. I think he's a perfect fit after the Cowboys lost Tyler Biadasz in free agency this year. Then, speaking of offensive line help here, the Green Bay Packers go out and get versatile offensive lineman Graham Barton out of Duke. He can play tackle, he can play guard, and he can play center. So, losing David Bakhtiari this offseason, could he play left tackle? Maybe. But if they need him to, he can absolutely play guard, and he can absolutely play center as well. They drafted Zach Tom relatively early, a couple seasons back. They like these versatile guys that they can plug and play anywhere on the offensive lineman there in Green Bay. I think Graham Barton is next on that list. Then we go to Tampa Bay, and after getting rid of Carlton Davis this offseason, sent him to the Detroit Lions. They need a new corner, and I like Terrion Arnold. I like his skill set. I like his speed and his overall athleticism. I think he's a pretty darn good player, and I think here, getting all the way down to 26 is a pretty darn good value as well. Then we get to Arizona, and they have two edge rushers, outside linebackers, young outside linebackers that they like there in Arizona. So if I'm going to start building the trenches here, which is what Arizona needs to do, they really need help on the interior of the defensive line, and Jerzon Newton out of Illinois fits that bill to me. Might not be the most flashy move in the world, but I do think that this is a building block towards building a winner in the desert. Then we'll go to the Bills here, and they land Brian Thomas Jr. out of LSU here in 28. A complete steal right here, in my opinion. He's 6'4", over 210 pounds. He ran, I believe, a 4.33 producer coupe, which is just unbelievable. He had the second best 10-yard split of any receiver at that size. So he's a run blocker. He can get downfield and fast. I mean, with Josh Allen's arm talent, I mean, goodness gracious, man, this is a match made in heaven. Now with Detroit, I mean, as we know, Dan Campbell and the Detroit Lions, they like to make kind of weird picks in the first round at times. Last year, they took running back and an inside linebacker in round one. Here they take another lower value position at safety in Minnesota's Tyler Nubin, who, in my opinion, is the best safety in this year's class. And I do think that safety is a position that they need to fill to help make that defense better and get them over the hump and into the Super Bowl in 2024. And then we get to number 30, and Jared Verse falls into the lap of the Baltimore Ravens. I also considered Chop Robinson here because Chop has even more athletic upside than Jared Verse, but man, Verse is more, I would say, refined. He's a better run defender than Chop Robinson is at this point by a long shot. He's got a higher floor than Chop does, and he still has very nice athletic upside. So I like Jared Verse to the Baltimore Ravens after losing Jadeveon Clowney. Then number 31, another edge rusher here, and this is actually one of my guys in this year's class, guys. I really do like Jonah Ellis, edge rusher out of Utah. Maybe not the most dynamic athlete. He's not going to be like a speed rusher off the edge, but when I put on his film, when I was going over all the edge rushers this year, he stood out to me because of his refinement and his intelligence. He really knows, he has a bunch of moves at his disposal, and another thing, guys, is that he knows when to deploy those moves. He had a shoulder injury last year that completely derailed his final season in Utah, but man, before that, I thought that his film was stellar, and there would have been an argument that he would be the number 2 edge rusher in this class if he didn't hurt his shoulder. So obviously the medical needs to check out, but I like the fit in that 4-3 scheme there in San Francisco as a bigger 4-3 defensive end. Then at number 32, of course, the Chiefs land a receiver, right, guys? They just landed Hollywood Brown earlier this week, and now they get Ladd McConkey, the best route runner arguably in this class, maybe other than Roma Dunze or Malik Neighbors or Marvin Harrison Jr. But man, this guy's unbelievable. He's going to be maybe a top 10, top 15 route runner in the league day one. He is that good. Maybe he's a little bit smaller, whatever, but they need a route runner like this to get over the intermediate part of the field, especially once Travis Kelce eventually decides to retire. They've got their short area guy in Rashee Rice, one of the best yak receivers in the league. They got their deep threat with Hollywood Brown, and now Ladd McConkey is that route runner that can go anywhere on the field. This is going to make the Kansas City Chiefs extremely dangerous heading into 2024. So now it's red pen time. All right, I shared my first mock draft with you guys. Now grade it for me down there in the comment section. Give me an A, a B, a C, a D, or an F for your favorite team's pick. Let me know what you guys think down there in the comments. Make sure you guys click that subscribe button. I'll probably update my mock every few weeks or so, put it on the channel for you guys once I feel like we can update it with certain things, more people sign in free agency, all that great stuff. So make sure you click that subscribe button right now. We're going to have more NFL draft content coming your way, so don't miss it by clicking that subscribe button right now.